Are there any implications about the existence of extraterrestrial life in the Qur'an?
Well, this is one of the most interesting questions as well. In particular, people ask these type of questions quite frequently these days, and they say, are there any indications of extraterrestrial life elsewhere, or that's what it means anyway, extraterrestrial life, non-earthly life. And in particular, people wonder if there's any indications in the Quran as well. And I can tell you that the discourse on life in space or extraterrestrial life goes all the way back to Sumerians. That's like 4000 BC. You will find some information in the ancient Egyptians as well. But also antiquity, the Greek philosophers, they talked about the possibility of existence of extraterrestrial life. And since then, human beings always ask themselves this question: are we alone in the universe? It's been repeated so many times. And today, there are organizations, institutions, scientific, academic institutions that continuously search for extraterrestrial life. One of the most famous one is SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. There are over 100 scientists working for this working in this project, and millions of dollars they are spending so that they can get some sort of signals, intelligent signals from space. So we are constantly looking for life in space. Now, what does the Quran say about this? Are there any really indications of extraterrestrial life in the Quran? Well, in general, I can tell you this. All monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, believe in extraterrestrial life anyway, but, they are mainly, in general, they are mainly angelic or spiritual beings, metaphysical beings. We have no doubt about that. All of these, books, divine books, mention these things. But the question here is really, is there organic life, biological life? Well, there are verses in the Quran which clearly mentions that there is organic life as well. And maybe I can cite some of them here. One of them is chapter Talaq, verse 12. There's a verse there. I find it very interesting. It states that it is God who created the heavens and the earth and the likes of them. And the likes of them. This is quite amazing, isn't it? What does the likes of them mean? It means that earths like earth. He has created earths like earth. This is in Surah Talaq. You can open it and have a look at it. Verse 12. And then we move on to chapter Shura, verse 29. The verse 29 states, among his signs are the heavens and the earth, the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the living species he has spread out in them. Living species he has spread out in them. So this is Surah Shura, verse 29. Another reference for you to have a look. Go and cross-check it if you like. And what does this verse, or the term in the verse, there's a term used there which is dabba. What does this term dabba mean in Arabic? We should open up and have a look at the meaning of the term dabba. In most basic form, it means animal. All right, so organic life, biological life. But it becomes more, interesting when you do a little research in the Quran. The term dabba appears in the Quran about 18 times, 14 times in singular form, and 4 times plural form as dawab. And in all of their contexts, if you look at them, it always refers to animalistic life or biological life, organic life. And the verse clearly states that heavens and the earth, and within them, God has created dabbas, living species, meaning biological life, biological organism. Another verse, again, that would support this is in chapter Nur, Surah Nur 45. And in this verse, again, it uses the term dabba, living beings. And it says, the verse says, God has created all living beings from water. Now, when the term is water is used there, we know that there are some form of carbon-based, biological forms, because it cannot be indicating to angelic life, because we know that according to prophetic tradition, angels are created from nur, which is light. I say some sort of photons, because that's what light is. And then also these hadiths or the Qur'an directly mentions the creation of jinns as well. And the Qur'an says they are made up of smokeless fire. In another verse, it says toxic fire, toxic substance. And it also uses the term penetrating substance, matter, some form of energy. And I am assuming that the Quran is describing some form of electromagnetic radiation. So jinns may have been created from electromagnetic radiation. This shows that the Quran talks about extraterrestrial life in general and in different forms as well. It talks about the angelic life, it talks about the, jinns, it talks about spiritual, metaphysical life, but also organic lives as well. One maybe final point, which is really important, with the first verse that I mentioned, Talaq 12, when it says, the heavens and the earth and likes of them. Similar worlds Allah has created. Very clearly the verse mentioned. There is a Quranic exegesis put forward by Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas is, as you know, the son of Abdullah ibn Abbas, who is a companion of the noble prophet. And he is a very well-known, very famous Quranic exegete. So he is a tafsir scholar. And in this narration, in this report, he says that God has created a world similar to that of our world, Earth, in every sama, meaning in every heaven. And each of these worlds, these earths, have prophets like your prophet, Adams like your Adam, Ibrahims like your Ibrahim, Jesus like your Jesus. And when I look at the chain of this hadith, this report, all scholars have concluded that it's authentic, sahih. So the report is sahih, authentic. There are some classical scholars who debated on its matan. Matan is the written part of it, the text. They said there may be a problem with the text, they said, because perhaps those days, they couldn't contemplate or imagine having worlds like Earth and people like us on them. So they were concerned about the text a bit, but we know that the sanad, the chain of, narrators, are authentic. The report is authentic. In fact, in hadith, the studies, it's called the mawquf hadith, meaning that the chain goes all the way back to the Sahaba, the first person who narrated, who reported it, and it goes all the way back to Abdullah ibn Abbas. So you can see that both in the Quranic verses or also in the hadith, there is an indication of organic life in the universe. So there are other species in the universe. We use the term Allahu alam, only God knows, but they could be, these living species could be human-like as well, have intellect as well, or non-human species as well. They could be, some sort of animalistic beings as well. But I am assuming that there are intelligent beings in the universe elsewhere, because the universe is too big. We know this. The diameter of the universe is 93 billion light years. That is a big number. And we are assuming these days, that's the latest data, astronomical data that there are about 2 trillion galaxies in the universe, not billion, trillion. And each galaxy contains billions of stars and tens of billions of planets. Now, we know that God does not create anything in vain. In Islam, Allah does not do anything in vain, without purpose. If He created something, it must have a reason. So if all these worlds are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to think or assume or conclude that He must have placed some sort of living beings or intelligent beings suitable of those environments there. So I would say yes, there are very clear indications in the Quran that there is extraterrestrial life in the universe.
Thank you.